The story begins with a boy named Mice Windsor, deeply focused on a book in his room, when soldiers arrive with urgent news. The king has summoned him at once. Mice quickly makes his way to the royal chamber, only to be hit with a shocking decree. The king declares that he is to be exiled, accusing him of treason against the kingdom. Dazed and confused, Mice tries to defend himself, insisting there must be some mistake. But his brother Alfred laughs, dismissing his explanation as worthless. Trying to provoke him further, Alfred brings up Mice's visit to Vitra, the guardian dragon, and suggests that he plans to bring disaster upon the realm. Mice glares at Alfred, realizing his brother is behind the accusations. Another relative, also from the Windsor line, is competing to become the next head of the family. As Mice begins to put the pieces together, a sense of dread creeps in. He had kept the dragon hidden, but now it seems that the secret is no longer safe. Alfred accuses him of trying to take control of Vitra. The king then steps in, saying that the kingdom's power is tied to Vitra's strength. He demands to know what Mice is planning and how he intends to use the dragon's power. As Mice tries to make sense of the betrayal, the king recounts an incident from 4 years ago. A great dragon had appeared near the capital, driving off invading forces and defeating monsters. The people saw it as their divine guardian. Enraged, the king's son insists that Mice is no longer fit for his title and urges the king to make Alfred the new heir. The king agrees and declares Mice disinherited, canceling his engagement to the second princess, Lucy. She will now be engaged to Alfred. Stunned and furious, Mice warns that if he is exiled, Vitra will be enraged and the kingdom will fall. In desperation, he reveals the truth. Vitra is not a god, but an artificial being he created through alchemy. The revelation is met with disbelief. Alfred scoffs, and the king's son calls him a disgrace. Outraged, the court erupts, and knights move in to seize him. He resists, begging them to listen, but the king dismisses his claim as nonsense. When he insists he's telling the truth, the king's son angrily silences him. Alfred suggests exiling him to Bagrad, a remote region blanketed by endless forest. The king's son agrees, reminding the king that Bagrad's ruler recently died, and the territory is now in chaos. The king consents, naming it as his place of exile. Guards drag him away while he shouts that the kingdom is doomed. Alfred mocks him with laughter, and the king warns that any further defiance will lead to execution. As the doors slam shut behind him, his exile begins. On the road to Bagrad, Mice sits in silence, unsure how to explain any of this to his sister, Tiny. Without warning, an ambush shatters his carriage. Thrown to the ground, he finds himself surrounded by armed men wearing headbands bearing the Vitra cult's symbol. They accuse him of bringing plague and order him to step forward. The crowd chants for divine punishment. Mice tries to reason with them, but their eyes burn with hatred. When he confesses that he created Vitra, one of them strikes his hand in rage. They declare his actions deserving of death. Just as they prepare to execute him, a huge shadow descends from the sky. The cultists freeze in awe as Vitra appears. Overwhelmed with reverence, they drop to their knees, begging for mercy. But Vitra's fury is clear. She opens her jaws and unleashes a wave of fire. The cultists, terrified, plead for answers. Her voice echoes through the sky, warning that anyone who dares harm Mice will be sent to the underworld. The cultists tremble as their so-called god speaks directly. Mice stares in disbelief as Vitra turns to him and asks if he is unharmed. Her voice sounds strangely human, and he wonders if it's a result of his alchemy. Without warning, the dragon steps closer and hugs him. He stiffens, sensing something different. Carefully, he asks if she can return to her true form. Vitra nods. The form admired by the people is merely a disguise. Then, she transforms, and standing before him is his sister, Tiny. Shocked, he struggles to process the truth. She grins and asks for clothes. As he hands them to her, he quietly wonders if his system can be modified to allow outfits to adapt to transformations. Soon, she appears in an elegant outfit, twirling with a playful smile. She hands him a shard from the infinite storage. He thanks her, then cautiously asks if she spared the cultists. She assures him that she didn't kill anyone. If she had, it could have led to him being accused of murder. Instead, she used freezing magic to trap them in a near-death state, giving them time to thaw later. Still, she admits that some may view her as their executioner. When he asks why Alfred would order the attack, she grows irritated. She scolds him for being clueless. His engagement to Lucy was annulled, yet she still loves him. Embarrassed, he tries to brush it off, but she bluntly says Alfred acted out of jealousy. She then proclaims that the kingdom survives only because of him. Mais, thinking deeply, disagrees. He asks if she had been protecting the kingdom as Vitra. With a serious tone, she corrects him, saying she was protecting him. With determination, she declares she'll go with him to Bagrad. Mais, surprised, asks what will become of the kingdom if she leaves. She smiles and waves off his concern. A kingdom without her brother means nothing to her. She firmly states that from now on, they will stay together, and without the guardian dragon, the kingdom is bound to fall. Worn out and irritated, she finally tells him she's tired of pretending to be Vitra. She insists they should leave the country together and travel to the far, untamed lands. After a short pause, Mais agrees without question. She tells him to get on her back. He looks confused. Then suddenly she shifts into her dragon form. She stands before him and explains she plans to carry him through the sky. Shocked by the idea, Mais quickly refuses. He points out that if she flies in dragon form, it will attract attention, since she's seen as the kingdom's guardian. Her sudden absence could cause panic. Acknowledging the danger, they begin to consider other options. After a moment, she suggests carrying him while in human form. Confused, Mais asks if she's serious. She says that if needed, he should hold on tightly. Seeing his reaction, she quickly offers a new idea. They could buy a horse instead. He considers it, thinking carrying him would only slow her down and draw more attention than flying. She then asks if they have the money for a horse. Calmly, he reminds her that as the family's next heir, he has enough funds. They soon reach the stable, where the owner greets them and asks if they're looking to buy a horse. They explain they need a strong one that can travel long distances without needing rest. The stable owner tells them she has just the right horse, but when they see it, the siblings are stunned into silence. She explains that, unfortunately, it's the only horse available at the moment. When she states the price, 40 gold coins. Mais is caught off guard. Before he can reply, Vitra bursts out in frustration, accusing the place of being corrupted and saying the country is truly beyond saving. Annoyed, the stable owner glares at them and demands to know what the issue is. Before things get worse, Mais calmly apologizes and says the horse will do just fine. He quietly counts out the 40 gold coins and pays. As they walk away with the horse, Vitra fumes, questioning why he agreed to such treatment. She complains that someone of their status shouldn't be spoken to in such a way. Vitra, calm and composed, replies that if he wanted, she could have burned the place down, but she chose not to. Stunned by her answer, Mais falls quiet. Looking over the horse, she realizes it's worn out and might not make the journey. Mais gently strokes its head and offers words of comfort, telling it their trip depends on its strength. He then asks if it would like to run free one last time. Seeing the sorrow in the horse's eyes, he activates his unique ability. Resting his hand on the horse, he channels his power. In moments, the horse begins to transform into a magical unicorn. Its form evolves, its strength increases, and its rank rises to an extraordinary level. As the transformation completes, Vitra watches in awe. Mais explains that he originally meant to boost the horse to A rank, but his ability either creates something powerful or fails completely. Vitra, impressed by the unicorn's strength, compliments her brother. Pleased with the result, he gets ready to leave and tells her to hop on so they can depart quickly. As they ride, the unicorn's astonishing speed amazes them. He remarks that at this rate, they'll reach Bagrad in no time. She clings to him tightly, prompting him to comment on how much she's leaning into him. With a sly grin, she admits she's doing it on purpose. Not long after, he winces and tells her her horn is poking into his back. She shifts her position slightly but stays close as they pass through settlements. Onlookers stare at them in disbelief. He realizes they're drawing too much attention and mentions they'll need to figure out how to better manage the unicorn's speed. Nearing Bagrad, she says the fast arrival is thanks to the unicorn, but he insists it's really because of her. He reminds her that every monster in the Alphasia kingdom obeys her, so they won't be attacked. The idea of being welcomed by monsters surprises him, but she calmly says it's only natural. After all, he is the supreme being. As they near the outskirts of Bagrad, she warns him that from here on out, hesitation is dangerous. She explains the monsters ahead aren't under her influence. He nods and stays vigilant. Suddenly they spot a huge rock obstructing the road. He scans the surroundings, suspecting a village nearby. Sensing something unusual, she tells him the village is under attack. As he inspects the rock more closely, he suspects it went off course, but something still doesn't feel right. He urges her to check it out. She agrees, saying firmly that no matter the cause, someone has targeted her brother, and she won't let it slide. Determined, they guide the unicorn toward the village, where a towering cyclops stands waiting. As they enter the city, they notice several cyclops, one of which stands out for attacking people seemingly for fun. In another part of the city, a separate battle breaks out, confirming their fears. Multiple cyclops are present. Amid the chaos, they spot knights struggling to defend themselves. After assessing the situation, they decide to step in. As long as the Bagrad knights are still fighting, Mise instructs her to retrieve Levantine. Without delay, she brings the magical spear. Together, they launch an attack, wiping out a cyclops in a single blow. Surprised that such a powerful A-rank creature could fall so easily, they can hardly believe it. Vitra, quietly impressed, watches her brother with admiration. The knights approach, stunned at the sight of the magical unicorn. Taken aback, they ask who the siblings are. Before they can answer, two massive cyclops appear and surround them. The knights, unprepared, ready themselves for battle. She quickly tells Mise to duck. As the cyclops strike, she releases her full power and cuts one cleanly in two. The crowd watches in shock. Taking the opportunity, she announces her brother as the new ruler of Bagrad. He steps forward, a little unsure. The knights, puzzled by their calm demeanor, listen as he explains they've come from the royal capital to help defend the city. Before they can respond, violent coughing breaks out among the knights. Seeing their condition, he asks if they're wounded. Upon closer inspection, she realizes they show signs of the Black Death. Stunned, Mise says the king never mentioned any outbreak here and warns them to stay back. The knights, distressed, urge him to keep his distance for his own safety. Before the conversation can continue, more cyclops appear and surround them. Mise realizes that, despite their worsening condition, the soldiers have been fighting tirelessly to defend the city. He refuses to let them fall, and instructs Tiny to revert her transformation. With firm resolve, they brace themselves to protect the city. She returns to her true form, letting out a thunderous roar. The knights, already stunned, recoil in disbelief as they recognize her as Vitra, the guardian dragon of the kingdom. Their shock deepens when she speaks, confirming what they suspected. Unable to grasp how a dragon speaks human language, they freeze in awe. She credits her ability to her brother's power, calling him the supreme and greatest one. The knights turn to him with reverence. Embarrassed by their praise, he listens silently. Before he can respond, the cyclops charge again, yelling that their defiance cannot be forgiven. She declares that such foolishness deserves 1,000 deaths. Breathing fire, she incinerates the monsters. A few try to flee. Seeing this, her anger surges as she questions whether they truly believe they can escape. She steps in front of her brother, shielding him, and proclaims that this land belongs to him. She warns the Cyclops that attacking the city means opposing him. Intimidated by her presence, the Cyclops tremble, lower their weapons, and plead for mercy. But she remains unmoved. With cold resolve, she reminds them that by raising weapons against her brother, the only fate awaiting them is death. Mise, stunned by her words, tries to reason with her, asking her to show mercy since the Cyclops have already surrendered. She hesitates for a moment but stands firm, questioning his desire to spare an enemy who had already raised the white flag. He calmly explains that he despises unnecessary bloodshed and wants peaceful coexistence for the sake of the people. Respecting his request, she backs down and instructs the Cyclops to be thankful for his generosity. When she reverts to her original form, the terrified Cyclops bow deeply before him, swearing loyalty and recognizing him as their ruler. She then orders them to fix the damage they caused and to rebuild the barricades before the day ends. With no other option, they comply immediately. Mise thinks about the title he's just received, Shadow Demon King. Though strange, he sees how it could help him maintain control over the monsters. Lowering military expenses could free up funds for rebuilding, possibly leading to a stronger Bagrad. A group of knights approaches, aided by his abilities. They admit that the region, once on the verge of collapse, is now protected from monsters. However, they confess that many of them are suffering from a deadly illness and are only waiting for the end. They beg him to defend the land. Taken aback, he assures them that he will let no one die and promises to heal them. His declaration shocks the knights, who express doubt. They explain that even the previous ruler died from the illness, and that they insist that once infected, there is no effective treatment. Vitra steps in, saying they are lucky her brother is present, as he is the greatest alchemist in the nation's history. She reminds them that even her earlier dragon transformation was made possible through his alchemy. Mais then asks about the potion supply in town, planning to create a healing elixir. Using Genesis alchemy and existence evolution, he successfully creates a panacea elixir and urges the knights to drink it. As they do, their injuries vanish, and their energy returns. Realizing the potion stock is too low, he instructs the knights to search the town for more. They hurry off and return with everything they can find. After examining the supplies, he sees it still isn't enough, but decides to treat the most seriously wounded first. He admits that not all his potion attempts have worked, since the success rate isn't perfect, but promises to keep trying. Vitra inspects the potions and suggests that setting up a workshop might help improve the success rate. Mais agrees, noting they'll need proper tools, starting with an alchemy cauldron. She points out that he succeeded before without one. He confesses that although he was glad those past experiments worked, he also felt anxious knowing how easily they could have failed. His words leave her and the unicorn momentarily silent, unsettled by the thought. A knight steps forward, still stunned, and admits they had believed the royal capital had completely abandoned them. He praises Mais's godlike abilities and says it is only right that he becomes their king. Mais, however, explains that he didn't know anything about the plague spreading through Bagrad. The knight is shocked and asks why he was sent there in the first place. Mais recalls how his brother Alfred had exiled him to the frontier and starts to suspect Alfred may have already known about the disease. He even wonders if the king was simply told that the previous lord had died. Hearing this, Vitra becomes furious, declaring that if this is true, she will crush Alfred herself. She claims that the moment he exiled Mais, the king committed a serious crime. Mais, surprised by her reaction, reminds himself to tread carefully. Saying too much could easily be considered treason. He chooses to handle things cautiously. Just then, a cyclops steps forward, calling him king and tearfully begging for an elixir to save a dying comrade. Without pause, Mies agrees. Before he acts, Vitra asks if he is sure. He nods, saying the cyclops are now their allies, and if they can be saved, he must try. He gives the elixir, and the cyclops is healed instantly. The knights of Bagrad, witnessing the miracle, then swear absolute loyalty to him. The people, inspired by his strength and compassion, recognize him as their ruler and vow unwavering allegiance.